Ethan Cole had always been a man of quiet strength. At 41, he wore his years with a kind of humble dignity, salt and pepper stubble on his jaw, calloused hands from weekends fixing up the old ranch-style house outside Denver, and the kind of steel in his eyes that came from living through both triumph and heartbreak. He'd built his life slowly, brick by brick: college, a steady job in logistics, the mortgage, 2 kids, and a marriage he'd sworn to uphold through every vow uttered under the soft spring sky on that April afternoon 17 years ago. Her name was Madison. Madison had a spark. When Ethan first met her, she lit up the room with a laugh that felt like music, wore her confidence like a tailored coat. She was smart, graduated top of her class in business administration, and beautiful in that rare, timeless way. He remembered thinking, back then, that he'd won something far beyond his reach. They married young, had their first child, Caleb, when Ethan was 26. A daughter, Lucy, followed 3 years later. Their house was filled with the usual chaos: school pickups, birthday cakes, broken water heaters, and long nights soothing colicky cries. But through it all, Ethan had never stopped loving her. He had loved her not with flash and fire but with the slow, enduring heat of commitment, the kind of love that says, "I'm still here, even when it's hard." He never saw it coming. Madison's job at a marketing firm often meant out-of-town meetings, and Ethan had never questioned it. He wasn't naive, he'd seen what affairs did to people, watched friends get chewed up and spat out by divorce. But Madison wasn't that type. Or so he thought. It was a Wednesday in late October when he first felt something off. Madison had just come back from a 3-day business trip in Chicago. She was quieter than usual, distant. She kissed him hello like she was checking off a task. That night, in bed, she lay stiff beside him, scrolling through her phone with the screen tilted away. It wasn't like her. He didn't ask at first. That wasn't his way. He respected her space, convinced himself it was just stress, a long week, maybe even a fight with her boss. But the distance grew. She took more trips. She laughed less. She barely touched him. And then came the message. It wasn't meant for him. Madison had left her laptop open on the kitchen counter one Sunday morning while she showered, and a message popped up, an email notification with the subject line, "Last night was everything. I can still feel you." Ethan stared at the screen as his stomach dropped. He shouldn't have opened it. He knew that. But curiosity mixed with dread, and he clicked. It was from someone named Jason. There were no explicit details, just hints: a hotel room, a bottle of wine, and the way he'd made her feel seen again. The email ended with, "Same place next month." Ethan sat down. His legs didn't feel strong enough to hold him. He read the email again, then a third time. A roaring silence filled the kitchen. He didn't say anything, not right away. Instead, he closed the laptop gently, walked upstairs, and kissed her on the forehead while she folded towels. She smiled back, like nothing had changed. But for Ethan, everything had. He spent the next few weeks watching, listening. When Madison left on her next trip, to Dallas this time, he tracked her flight. He checked the hotel's website. Called the front desk pretending to be her brother, needing to confirm she checked in safely. She had. He waited a day, then called again, this time asking for Jason Brennan. They were in the same room. That confirmation didn't destroy Ethan. It clarified him. Pain, yes. Disgust, absolutely. But beneath that storm of emotion, something else formed. A plan. Not a scream. Not a fight. Not a begging, broken plea. Just the slow turn of gears. He gave himself 3 days. When Madison returned, he didn't confront her. He cooked her dinner. Tucked Lucy into bed. Watched Stranger Things with Caleb on the couch. He was calm. He was, as ever, present. But he was no longer the same man. He pulled money from their joint account slowly, subtly. He opened a separate account she didn't know about. Then he hired a private investigator named Ron Talbot, a former cop who specialized in marital infidelity. Ethan gave him everything: names, hotel dates, itineraries. Ron didn't disappoint. Within 10 days, Ethan had photos: Madison and Jason kissing outside a Hyatt, holding hands in a rental car, and in one blurry shot, slipping into a hotel room together. Ethan stared at the photos alone in his garage, lit only by the amber glow of a single bulb overhead. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He felt resolved. He made a copy of every image. Saved the emails. Took screenshots. All of it in a folder he labeled Truth. He waited another week before making his move. Friday night. Kids at his mother's for the weekend. Madison home early, glass of wine in hand, soft jazz playing in the background. "Can we talk?" Ethan asked, his voice even. She turned. "Sure. What's up?" He sat across from her, placing the manila folder gently on the table between them. She looked down at it. Her smile faltered. "What is this?" "Truth," he said. She opened it. Each photo, each printout, stared back at her like open wounds. Her hands trembled. "Ethan. I can explain." "No. You can't." She reached for him. "Please, it wasn't what you think. It was a mistake." "How many mistakes?" "2. 3. You met him in 4 different cities." She said nothing. He stood up. "I loved you. I still do. But I will not be the man who begs for scraps of loyalty." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Are you leaving me?" "I'm not sure," Ethan said honestly. "But you're leaving this house. Tonight." She gasped. "You're kicking me out?" He nodded. "I booked you a hotel downtown. The same brand you liked so much. You'll stay there until we figure out what to tell the kids." She tried again. "Ethan, please. Don't do this to them." "I didn't." "You did." That night, Madison left, suitcase in hand, shoulders hunched. Ethan stood on the porch as she backed down the driveway. The silence of the house pressed against him, but he stood tall. The days that followed were hard. Lucy asked where Mommy was. Caleb, old enough to suspect something, avoided eye contact. Ethan told them the truth, only the necessary parts. That Mommy had made a mistake, and they were trying to figure things out. Madison tried calling, texting, sending letters. She apologized 100 ways. She blamed the distance, blamed herself, blamed midlife confusion. But Ethan remained cold stone. 3 weeks later, he filed for separation. He didn't fight dirty. He let her see the kids. He didn't torch her reputation. But when her lawyer tried to push for more than half of the house, he dropped the folder labeled Truth on the table in mediation. They backed down fast. Ethan started therapy not because he was broken, but because he wanted to stay whole. He worked out more. Took the kids hiking. Found small pockets of peace in fishing trips and Sunday pancakes. He saw Madison once more. 6 months later. She asked for coffee. She looked tired. Regret aged her faster than time ever could. "I never stopped loving you," she said quietly. "I believe that," Ethan replied. "But you stopped respecting me." She nodded. "Do you hate me?" she asked. "No," he said. "I just don't know who you are anymore." She looked down. "I wish I could go back."